Welcome to WooTube. Running a bit late tonight, and apparently Axu's been waiting. He's been waiting by his computer patiently, ready to hit that first button. Yeah, that's uh, that's Axu all over. Hello everyone. It's gonna be like stream from a new location. Yeah, today it's from the bedroom, and it's gonna be late starting. Uh-oh, is my I have a feeling my it's late starting and also potentially like a slightly quieter than usual stream on my part. My parents are staying, so um, they're in the front room. So I've got to stream from the bedroom on a camera, which I have realised is slightly wonky, right? It's like it's currently resting on something, and I don't think it's quite horizontal. So probably is giving that like underground bunker feeling. Um, yeah. Um, and I could probably only stream tonight until my wife decides to go to bed because at that point she will not want me in here. Well, she'll want me in here, but not talking. Um, so hi everyone. I thought I'd quickly chat about Aldershot um, regionals or southeast regionals, more specifically, more correctly, which I went to on. Hey Warlock, good to see you, or have you in chat? Um, yeah, went to Aldershot regionals on the weekend. I did all right. I did pretty well. Yeah, East Aldershot kind of. I did well. I didn't do as well as Warlock. I believe one Swiss Nats, or am I? Is that correct? Am I am I mistaken there? Results. Uh, where are you? Oh, is it not up? Is it not up? It's not here. Someone won. Was it Swiss or Swedish? Sorry, my brain's a bit messy today, isn't it? Wow, that's not great. What was on? Swiss Nats. It was definitely Swiss Nats, but the results aren't here. But I'm pretty sure Warlock won it. Um, yes. Way! Amazing stuff. Congratulations. Currently doing their write-up. Um, and Aldershot or Southeast Regionals results are here somewhere. A really fun event. Great turnout, 40 people. They had like 10 people on the um, like waiting list as well, which was crazy. Um, and congratulations to Augusta Caesar, who continues to take down events like their trees, and he's a tree surgeon. That's the quickest thing I could think of that was something that you could take down. Um, Shout outs to Jonald, who managed to top cut with Nova, because all of you lot just don't know how to play Nova well. And then this mysterious entity on table two was Tudo. Hey Koga, what's flipping? We're going to be flipping tonight. That's for sure. Yeah, Tuno was like a surprise entrant. Really good to see them. And they came second. We had the classic final of Augustus versus Tuno on the final table, which was really great. I did all right. I came fifth. Did pretty well going through Swiss. Um, like I think I did. I only lose one game. I lost one. I tied one. Genuinely don't know. I'd have to check. But yeah, ended up like second in Swiss. Um, Playing like an Arasana, a non-World Tree and Arasana, 45 cards. and an Ag Infusion list which was card for card Soccer's Ag Infusion list. I did not change a single card. And the Ag Infusions actually did very well. There were 3 Ag Infusions and they all ended up in the cut. There was myself, there was Believer, which is Lap, the real Lap, which I'll talk about in a second, and Jonald, who's on a slightly different build. Also, shout out to Snoobs, which is Sid from like kind of our local meta. He's from Cheltenham. He's comes to our tournaments and stuff. He came third with PE, which was like Bridgman's Mitosis PE deck, which you may have seen. It kind of mitoses out a Fuji and a Cerebral Overwriter, and then like next turn just advances both of them one more time and goes, do you want to run one? And if not, then I score a Fuji and Neurospike you. Kind of very rude list. It's also got an end of a line. It's got to see how they run. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Very, very rude. But also was on basically this. I think actually they'd switched this up a little bit because I think they were on they were certainly on the prepaid version with 3 prepaids, Dirty Laundries, and Carpe Diems. And I believe they'd dropped 2 Mayflies for 2 of Malandragon, the kind of card which you can use to bypass stuff, which actually I think is a really good change. Allows you to potentially like divide and conquer through ice on archives, even if you haven't rolled archives for your archives mark. If you haven't seen this deck, I played this really back as far as May. I guess kind of pretty soon after the set had been released. As a like fun, silly deck to play Mercury with. Absolute shout outs to Sid, who believed in it enough to take it to a tournament and do really well with it. Yeah, excellent stuff. Really fun. But I played this deck here. This is a deck which I will publish probably tomorrow or Tuesday once I can write a bit of a write up for it. It's going to be called Flippy Sh. And it's essentially me going back to having fun pulling kickflips out of every available orifice with Arasana. It was kind of built for the reason that there was a comment on the Tiebreakers Discord about some matchups and starting to try and get some matchup tables together. And on one of those matchup tables, it had World Tree Arasana. Hey, dear Jenny. And then it had a comment about regular Arasana, and it just said World Tree's probably better. And it probably is. But it still very may well be the best deck in the meta. However, no one is playing it. Still no one is playing it. And I kind of know why. Because I think it's the strongest deck. I've been playing it a lot. And I don't know. There's something about like it doesn't feel as cool as the other things that you can do in Shaper right now. It feels very strong and oppressive and what have you, but I was missing out on like being Arasana for the Arasana value rather than just being Arasana for the World Tree value, and then every now and then to completely shut down Corpse Ice Plan because I have the ability to put an Entangler somewhere. So I threw together an Arasana list. It looked fairly similar to this. It was a little bit different to start with. um, just because I wanted to piss about with Reg Arasana, and I had an absolute ton of fun playing like Reg Q Loop Arasana, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take this to Aldershot, and it did really well. It was originally on 2 Q loops, then I dropped to 1 Q loop plus a Gachapon and a DJ Fenris. And actually, in the car on the way to the tournament, I took out the DJ Fenris and the Gachapon and I put back in the second Q loop, because I wanted to add in a Slap Vandal, which I didn't originally have, and I wanted to keep it at 45 cards. So I like could have either just dropped like the DJ or the Gachapon and like had an influence spare, but finding Q loop early really makes the deck do some silly things. So other changes which I've made as I went along. Originally, the deck was on 2 Spec Works. It wasn't an Aesop's deck, and it still isn't an Aesop's deck. It's not a deck which requires Aesop's to make it work. But I will say that it's probably a deck that requires either Aesop's or an Urban Art Vernissage. If you don't find either of them, then your econ really feels like it's really hurting. But I equally don't want to play 3 of either of those cards because they are dead cards when you draw the others. Can I add a Maché in there? I cannot add a Maché in there. I also don't really have the money to trash a bunch of stuff, so no. Nice try though. So a few other choices in here. Essentially, yeah, this was like me thinking, well, you know what card's really good? Trick Shot's really good, right? And it gives you a bunch of money, and obviously Shaper can use that money because they have things like self-modifying code, and Arasana even more so because she has things like Muse. But what's even better is if you have a prognostic Q loop, then you can use the Trick Shot credits on the prognostic like Q loop intake. Yeah, probably take an Overclock over it. I mean, I'd take Overclock as well if I could. And do you think they would ever give you Shaper money again after this set? Probably not. They'll probably give them like minus money. Like I think the next Shaper ID will be like at the start of your turn, lose like all your credits. It's basically what's his face? Like the Shaper ID that says that, like when you resin ice. I mean, it doesn't lose all the credits if it's expensive ice. It's great. I can't remember what he's called. But yeah, so I've completely lost track of what I'm thinking. But these are there's a few interesting thoughts here. One, Nasir, that's the one. One, I'm on 2 Eka, no echelon. Because, and I stick by this. I'm really happy with the like 2 Eka, no echelon. I only have 1 SMC, so most of the stuff which I'm tutoring using Muse, and thus I want most of the stuff which I'm tutoring to be Trojans. Like this deck, like generally uses Muse for Trojans. Like most of the time, occasionally we're just going to use it to bring back like Coalescence for Aesop's fodder. That's fine. But a lot of the time we're actually musing for Trojans so that we can either like ping them back for Urban Art Vernissage or so that we can break stuff. And thus I wanted my my killers to just be Eka. But playing 1 Eka, I very quickly realized is really horrible if you're like playing into like PE or any Jinteki really. I think I like the third game I tested with it where I was just on 1 Eka, like the PE, I was playing against PE and the R&D ice was Tive into Saisentan, and so I had like a conduit down, and I was just having to let the Tive fire, which is a bit risky against PE. Really risky. Bar next throwback tournament, you're going to bring Brahmin Q Loop Coalescence. I mean, I did talk about it for last throwback tournaments. Um, yeah, I mean, like if I could play Brahmin right now, I probably would. Like Brahmin Coalescence is nonsense good. Um, yeah, I mean, Shu won Montreal with PE, and Sid came third at Old Shot with PE. And it doesn't just have to be PE. Like if you're against Ag Infusion, um, again, I had like plenty of terms where I like you wouldn't have been able to just keep moving an Eka like between a Sai Santana and a Nancy. So just having two Ekas actually solves this problem most of the time because you generally don't have like an absolute ton of sentries rezzed. And Eka turns out is really good against certain ice which are pretty hot in the meta right now. Like this breaks Sai Sentan for 2 credits. That's amazing. It breaks Unsmiling Serevna for 2 credits. Like these are all things which is about the cheapest that we can do, um, and it's 0 to install, and we can install it off Arasana, and we can install it from a Muse. Just the best. Um, Muse for Coalescence just a harbinger. Yeah. It's like Muse for Coalescence is not great. Obviously, it's only something you ever do if you've got an Aesop's down as well, or you're maybe if you have like a ton of Urban Art Vernissage credits, it's okay. But yeah, you're kind of it's not fantastic normally. However, if you do have like a DZMZ down and you have a couple of Urban Art Vernissage credits, then it's actually much better than a Harbinger because you potentially, by the time you're like halfway through your deck here, you normally have an Urban Art Vernissage ticking up. And you can install stuff for free. Like Urban Art is really strong in this deck. So what else? I put in a Slap Vandal last minute. Like this was a like I think I woke up at 3 a.m. before the day before the event and went, I need a Slap Vandal in here. I put the Slap Vandal in, and man, did I need that Slap Vandal! It was a very useful card. So I was super happy to have that. And the compilation I thought was going to be really important, and it kind of ended up not being important, but we'll see. How did the deck do? So I think it went for what I have to have a look at the like. Let me go through the matchups, and then we can count it off. I'm really bad at remembering that kind of stuff. So we could probably look at this on Cobra tournaments. Who knows what the Cobra one is now? Shall I just look on it via Null Signal Games? Because I don't know how to search for Cobra AI anymore. Like genuinely. Where is it even on here? Organizers? Cool. Got it. Or have I got it? Yes, I think I have. So here, so we can go more tournaments, we can go to Southeast Regionals. So, round one, I was paired against Not Yeti from Extremely Average Sports. Any explanation of why DSS? I think Loki just likes DSS. Uh, he's like yeah, old school like that. But that's fine. I had a fun time playing DSS. Like got to know my opponents a little bit better. Kind of like I'm still like more in favor of single-sided Swiss, but there's something about DSS which I do slightly prefer. in terms of the fact that when you play two games against someone for a whole like hour and 5 minutes, you make a bit of a better connection with them. Like meeting twice the number of people is kind of better for meeting people, but only playing them for 40 minutes is less. So I don't know. And from a tournament perspective, single sided is better. So I was playing against Not Yeti. Not Yeti had a bit of a rough start to the day, as all of the entirely average sports players did, because they got stuck on the M3. Were like about 30 minutes late, like as in 30 minutes after round one was meant to start. Luckily, Loki is a lovely, lovely guy and an excellent tournament organizer, and he ran it really, really well. And he just held off the start because there was like four of them in this car. Um, so I had Not Yet a round one. Obviously, he comes in. He's a bit like feeling pretty stressed and what have you. So like not the best way to like go straight into a tournament, which I felt pretty bad for. But I also clearly had like first game jitters. We both made a hell of a lot of mistakes. Like turn one, I massively over egged like my resources running through a what do we call it, a tattoo bowler, spending a simul chip which I'd put down to pull back a muse, to pull back to put on a hush, just so they couldn't get the 2 credits, and so I wouldn't lose the Kaya ban, which I'd like manually put on the card already. Don't ask too much. And then obviously they just overinstalled it. Like basically, I committed 2 Trojans to a single tattoo bowler super early in the game when I could have just let it fire, given Not Yet a couple of credits. Lost the Kaya ban, but like then been able to contest the server for the next few turns. And because I really was very foolish, and was clearly feeling like I didn't want to give him like 4 credits, I wasn't able to. So he nearly got to a point where he just scored out. Game went on. I think we both made a few errors. I know I missed at least 2 lily pad triggers, I think, and some Q loop triggers. But I just about pulled out the first game. He'd made a push for the win with an Ikawa and had just miscalculated the credits that he needed to score it out next turn. So I managed to get into the server with no clicks left because he rezzed and popped an MIC, seeing an Ikawa, not able to steal it, but equally Not Yet he didn't have enough credits to score it out. So I could challenge the Skunk Void remote again next turn, again costing him credits, costing cards from hand, and eventually it just got to the point where he didn't have something else that he could jam, like another upgrade or anything like that. He didn't have any money, so he overinstalled the Ikawa in the remote with what kind of had to be a spin doctor. I ran the bin and he said good game, because it's just forcing me to maybe make a really stupid error. So yeah, so first game was really, really like it was pretty fractious, to be quite honest. And then I was playing Ag Infusion into his Shiko. We were kind of under somewhat time constraints. By the time it got to like we were both on about 4 points, I think maybe one of us was on 5, maybe he was on 5, and he was just trying to win, and he went a little bit too low on credits, and I got to a point where I could just like install double advance a bacterial in the server, and he didn't have enough credits to get in. Of note, why is there no stone ship in this era of end of a line and PE decks? In this deck in specific, dear Jenny, because I've got lily pad, I do have a way of like drawing up to 6 if I need it. Um, this is a deck which has no tech. You'll see it. There is no tech cards in here. This is just I'm gonna do like I guess Hush. Hush is a tech card. Um, I think that is it, right? Like Propeller, no, Propeller's not a tech card. Um, Hush is the single sole tech card in this list, and there's no slots for anything else. And it kind of doesn't need it. I've beaten PE with this list. Um, End of the line is probably fine. I think. Fine out. Stone feels less like tech than Flux and Nova. Yeah. I don't know. I think apart from the fact that Stone can be a like I'm gonna draw cards, but that's pretty bad because then you're clicking once and spending a card to like draw two. So if you're gonna use it for draw, then like as a I'm just gonna draw two cards with this, then I don't think it's particularly great. But it is it's a potentially a good card. It turns off some decks pretty hard. My second game I remember a bit more specifically because I was playing against Ampere. Um, First game was versus Ampere. I was playing Arasana, and that was actually kind of terrifying. Um, I had an incredible start. Like I remember my starting hand because it was like two copies of Aesops, a DZMZ, a Coalescence, and a Diesel, I think. So it was like a really simple like Diesel, DZMZ, Coalescence, Aesops. I've got my like econ engine going. Um, and then I think like one or two turns later than that, they'd hands-eyed a card into the archives, and I thought I'll run last click so that I can like I didn't have to run. I can just install like I wanted to basically install an Eka, just so that I could have like something on board so I could get an urban art like going. And I was like, I could just install this, but no, I might as well run, and then I can see the face down card in archives, um, just in case. I don't know. I don't want them to like just score a Regenesis or something ridiculous because it's Ampere. I have no idea what's going on. So I run last click. It's tomorrow's headline. I take a tag. I lose my Aesops. Luckily, obviously, my opening hand was two Aesops, so I was kind of all right. But I was like, okay, they care about tags. I then see like a greasing the palm. I think I remember them saying something about end of the line in a previous game, and I'm like, right, I've got to be really careful of tags. Luckily, I could kind of deal with their ice okay because they were on like Funhouse, so I can get through Funhouse with Salem or with Hush. They rezzed Unsmiling Serevna on me when I was running the remote, and there were two things in the remote, and I had to decide what to do, and I very nearly took the damage and checked the remote. But I was worried about a few things, and I was like, my spidey sensors were going off. So then I was like, well, I could take the tag, but then I was like, well, if this is something ridiculous, I might end up with like 3 or 4 tags here. So I like broke the damage sub, took the tag, and then just jacked out and cleared the tag. And it turned out that the thing in the remote was an Angelique, and if I'd have taken the damage and gone through, I would have died. But I managed to like grab an Ikora out of HQ on like one of the early turns, and then that led to I think it was a trick shot win. I can't remember exactly. But that was a pretty good game. We then played the other side. There was Zaya actually did pretty like my Ag Infusion just didn't really take off in terms of money. I think I made a bit of a bad play at one point by trying to force them down in credits rather than forcing myself up in credits. And I got to 4 points with a Nisei counter, or maybe 5 points with a Nisei counter. It might have been like Bacteria into Nisei. And they got to 4, and time was called. Or they no, we it was they were on 5 because it was a draw. but I think if that game had gone on, I'd have lost in the end. Round 3, I was against the excellent Ace Empress, if I remember correctly. Let me check. No, I was against Lap in round 3. They were on Ag Infusion, and I just assumed, because I saw enough of the cards in the early rounds, that this was just Soccer's Ag Infusion, because it's the list that I'm on. Feels pretty good. That means I know everything that's in the deck. I don't have to worry about anything. This game, I died to running into a snare. Lap was on 2 snares, and I died to a snare off a trick shot, running R&D. I'd already nearly died to a snare in the remote when I had taken Sentan damage on the R&D part of a trick shot run, so that I could run the remote. Lap was on snare, not Lat. So I could run the remote, and handily the Sentan damage did not, like, they called event, they didn't hit any events. I ended up with 3 cards in hand. I run the remote, I get through, I access the 2 cards. One's an Anoetic, I trash it. The other is a snare, and I have 3 cards in hand. Nearly died, and then a few turns later, at this point I was like, right, this list, like, there is one like card which you can switch out, which is the rhyme. So I'm sure like they've just switched a rhyme with a snare, and there's 1 snare, and that's all I've got to worry about. Snares in the bin, don't have to worry about anything. So I play a trick shot, and then as I commit to access, they res a Spin Doctor, they shuffle back the snare, and they say, and I'm like, well, I'm now going to cut the cards to where the snare is. I cut the cards, first card, snare, I have 2 cards in hand, and I die. But best way to lose a net runner game, I think, is dying to snare, so I don't mind that. We also played this exact same matchup in the cut, first round of a cut, and I lost that game because of snare. This time it like hit my cleaver out of hand at a really inopportune time, and I had a propeller down at the time, and I could challenge the remote with a propeller. But on the last turn, where time was called and they install advanced, what definitely was the winning bacterial, I needed my cleaver to be able to run enough times. I didn't have enough propeller counters, and I was like, couldn't find a way of refreshing the propeller. So I lost to snare twice this day. In fact, it's the only thing I think that the Arasana lost to. It lost to snare. Round 4, I was playing against Ace Empress. She was on Thunderbolt, which is a really tough matchup against Arasana, because I have all the tools to deal with anything that Thunderbolt throws at me. So my runner into their Thunderbolt was a pretty one-sided affair. Unfortunately, Ace Empress didn't really draw any econ either, so just couldn't get the econ up. However, the other side game had the most intense like final turn, I think, that we've ever played, to the point that Loki came over at some point and went, "I need your score," and we said, "Oh no, we're still playing," and Loki said, "Oh no, time was called ages ago," and we're like, "Yes, we know." This last turn was absolutely nuts. So Ace Empress playing Girls, which is an Akiko deck. It's a deck which I have played. I've played it on stream. I know it really well. I know what it's trying to do, and I still nearly lost to Eru because the game was going, like, it went on pretty long. I think we were both on about 5 points. Maybe no, Ace Empress was on 3 points at the time. And this is very important for the last turn. And then I'm like, I add an extra ice to R&D because I'm like really worried about the third trick shot coming down. They've got a Mary down. They've got the program which gives you an extra like access. Like basically, like if they run R&D, then they're going to see like 4 or 5 cards. Terrifying. And so I'm like, I'm going to put 1 more ice on R&D, and then I'm going to try and push something. And they install an Eru, and I just yell at, like, probably pretty loudly, I would assume, because I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna lose to Eru because they're gonna be seeing 4 or 5 cards on this Eru dig. They didn't win off that one. Um, I could like put an ice on archive so I can boop away the Eru because I'm Ag Infusion. And I think I then can push in the remote. And I am pretty sure that Ace Empress can't get into the remote. I think Ace Empress also knew they couldn't get into a remote. And so time is then called. And they run R&D. I don't know if it was with a trick shot. I think it wasn't with a trick shot, but can't remember to be sure. It might have been a trick shot run, but either way, the first ice that's out is a tattoo, which I haven't read. So I res a tattoo. They break the tattoo. I get to swap the tattoo, and I get to swap the tattoo with the rhyme that is in HQ, which is a play which I believe Soccer has talked about on the deck, and it's the first time I've done it, and it was incredible, and it's the reason that I put the tattoo on R&D, because at the time, Ace Empress had limited propeller counters, so anything I can do to tax out a propeller counter is good, but at the worst, I can swap this tattoo with the rhyme, and then the next 2 cards, the next 2 ice, is a Nancy into Sentan. And Ace Empress has done the maths. They can get through the Anansi, they can then swap the Ika onto the Sentan, or maybe the other way around, I can't remember, with the money that they have, and get their like ridiculous dig on R&D. But the tattoo, swapping the rhyme in, boosts the Anansi to where it has to be. Actually, I don't think it affects the Anansi strength, but it does affect the Sentan strength, like as in the boosting potential, because now they have to boost for the Sentan, which is an extra 2 credits. And there was, as soon as I read this rhyme, there was this just moment where you could see like just the cogs start to go in Ace Emperor's head, because they now are at the point where they do not have enough money to break all of the Anansi and all of the Sentan. And so we sit there for at least 10 minutes, and this is why Loki eventually came over, like, while they do the maths and work out what the best thing is to do. Originally, their plan was to break the whole of the Anansi and then let the Sentan fire. Which they even started to do, and then they asked if they could go back, and I said that's absolutely fine. They had, I think, 4 cards in hand, and so potentially the Sentan fire, like they wouldn't have even had enough money to move. They couldn't have broken any of the Sentan subs because the Ika would have been on the Anansi. So they could break the whole Anansi and then just let the Sentan fire. And straight, like I can see Ace Empress looking at her cards, and like essentially I know that at least one combination of like whatever I call is like guaranteed death. There's 3 of something in the hand. I can't remember what it turns out to be. I think I was planning to call program, and actually it should have been event. But in the end, they wind it back. Yeah, that might have been it. I think they only had. Maybe they had 5 in hand, possibly. No, I'm sure it was 4. I'm like very sure it's 4. And so in the end, they let the Anansi fire, with the reasoning being that they're probably going to see so many cards that the Anansi rearrange, that first sub, won't matter. Which is like actually so nearly, like, it's technically true. Like they were going to see at least 5 cards. So whatever order I put these cards into, they're going to still be able to see them. They will still have a click left after this, and HQ hasn't got any ice on it. So if I move stuff to HQ, they can go get it. And I have a feeling that they had a compilation down. I can't remember exactly sure, but I think they had like a charged compilation. So like I couldn't move agendas into HQ and then be safe there. And they only need to find one more agenda. So I get to rearrange the top of R&D. I look at the top 5 cards, and there are 2 agendas there. One of them is a bacterial. This is the only thing which won me this game. So I get to feed them the bacterial and then rearrange the rest of the cards, moving the other winning agenda, which was a Nisei, down so far that they can't get it, leaving them on 6 points, and I'm able to score out for the win because time was called on their go. Bacterial won and lost me games in terms of like when I was playing against it. Like Bacterial is a nonsense good agenda, is what I'm trying to say. Like nonsense good. Without it, I'd have lost that game. There's one thing that I could have possibly done, but even then, like I might have been feeding them another agenda from further down if I'd have moved anything to HQ. Yeah, back pro won Jonald games. It won me games. And when I played lap in the final in the top cut, it lost me that game because I stole a bacterial last click and basically gave them everything that they needed to set up the push that they needed for the win. My last game of Swiss was against the wonderful Steph, and we got to ID. At this point, I'm like super safe to get into the cut. We played a casual game of Arasana versus Steph's PD, and it was without a doubt one of the silliest games of Netrunner I have ever played. The last however many turns, and I genuinely don't know how many turns it was maybe 4 or 5 turns, which were all the same. I think maybe 4 turns, which was basically me running the remote, not being able to get in because of Skunk Void, but being able to force Steph to spend enough money and cards from hand that they can't score the Ikawa that we both know is there. So basically forcing them down to like 0 credits each turn, and then they have to like take 2 credits and draw a card, and I do it again. And this went on for like about 3 turns until finally, with all my like clickless draw from the UAV Lilypad engine, I'm able to see on the top of my deck using the Q loop that I can install a cupellation. And so finally I have this like final turn where I can Q loop down the cupellation, run HQ, host one of the cards, then run the remote, and they're not able to void me because they don't have 2 cards in hand, and I win. Right, sorry, let me catch up now. Yeah, I mean, Back Pro and ADT both have this similar thing, and I really like ADT for the fact that you kind of know what's coming up, and sometimes it's terrifying because you know what's coming up, and you're like, oh, this is all agendas and no ice, or like when you don't want that, or something along those lines. But yeah, like it just lets, like Supernaut says, it just lets you set up the rest of your game, whether they steal it or you score it. You're kind of set to go from there. So I wanted to let's play a game with this. I probably only, well, we'll see. Like if it goes like super quick, then we can play more than one. I'm just gonna slightly edit this because I had changed it, and we'll whack a game up. Uh, this one here. That goes there. How was everyone else's weekend? Um, and did anyone else watch AEW All In? And if you didn't and you like wrestling, you should do. It was very good. Uh, and it's also the reason for the secondary reason for the name of the stream tonight because uh, Flippy Shit is a classic thing which is said about certain wrestlers, and one of those certain wrestlers has just joined AEW. Um, One of my favorites of all time, called Ricochet. It's absolute the epitome of flippy shit in wrestling, but in the best way. Uh, yeah, it was a very fun show. I would have loved to be there live, but it was kind of either go and see live wrestling or go to Old Shot and play Netrunner. I picked the Netrunner. Uh, Tickets for Wembley were pretty expensive as well. Um, but yeah, other than that, we've got Alpi's gonna come in and like wreck me with something. It's probably Nuvum. Oh, it's Thunderbolt. Wild. Are we? Oh, we're nearly keeping this hand, but not quite. Not quite. If the Urban Art was an Aesop's, then we'd keep it, but we don't have quite the start we want there. Ah, this seems okay. We've got like trick shoot shot into Muse. We can contest an early remote. Um, we've even got the Slap Vandal in hand, so we can deal with like Hagen, which feels nice. Okay, so we'll Diesel and then we'll probably trick shot. Oh, we're gonna prognostic trick shot. That is like world class start right there, and we've got creative to follow it up. We'll look at the top two cards. We've got a Salem on the top. Off the top rope, we can get through pretty much anything here. We can't get through a Hagen, but a Hagen doesn't stop us. We see a Gatekeeper. We see a Greasing the Palm. We'll go server one. We see a Gatekeeper. We're just gonna Salem it. We could mute. No, that doesn't make any sense at all. So we do this. We'll install Vasalem here. Like this is just pure Shaper BS, and it's absolute greatest style. We have enough to trash a Tranquility home grid and creative afterwards. How lovely. Trash a Rashida. And then I should be remembering. I got really excited by Salem. I've forgotten what the card on the top of the deck is. I think it was a creative commission. Yeah, perfect skill play. Like that was all skill. Now Alpi might have to purge this for Salem as well. That's upsetting. I think it was creative, right? On the top. We saw a what did we see on R&D? We saw a Gatekeeper into a Grease in the Palm. Okay, so we like draw. We can draw. It was a creative. So we probably run now. We probably run now. The only thing that we would be drawing for would be exactly a Kaya ban. But then this ice becomes a bit too much that they will want to get rid of it. Costs us 3 credits to deal with this. We'll draw once more. Nuka's nice. We'll go and get rid of this because this is like a lot of their money, and we get to see a Hush. That's nice. We know we've got an environmental testing coming up. That's like really important. Environmental testings are a big part of our econ. Um, we might have to play slightly badly, I guess you might say, to like make sure we fire the first one off as efficiently as possible. But we probably like nuke a draw here to start. We've got a trick shot respect. It's probably wise. So we can go nuker, hit nuker. Um, we can't quite. We're a bit short of being able to install the environmental testing and the lily pad here. So I think we environmental test and then we just make a run on HQ so that we know what's coming up in the deck because we can throw out this prognostic Q loop. But it's really, really useful for us to know. Plus, then we get to see a muse and a coalescence. It's good to know. We see a Brasilia government grid. Okay, the gatekeeper makes sense. Kind of scary, but we can deal with most things with Thessalem, which are going to be a problem. Okay, they now have money, so we can now like stop worrying about them having money. I'm gonna need to like go and get this coalescence to start ticking up this environmental testing. So I think we click the nuker. Okay, Aesop's is brilliant here. That's exactly what we need. We can. We need to install 3 things from hand here. Coalescence has to be the first one because otherwise we will have no money to do anything. Aesop's obviously has to probably be the second one. So we might. The annoying thing is I don't really want to install too many more programs because of the lipad. It's probably alright. So we could do Muse for Kayaban and then install the Aesops, and then we've got Aesops fodder. I think that's fine. We just want to get. Actually, we're going to get our Eka down, I think. Yeah, the only other thing would be to get like second coalescence down, click it for money. We've got one other muse in hand. We do need to find our Eka soon. I think we just do Eka. We have to host it on something. We'll host it here, and then we'll install this. There is a chance that they just trash this piece of ice, but we're okay if they do that. Maybe Eka was wrong there. We don't actually want it installed on a piece of ice. Okay, so next time we're popping off this environmental testing, so that feels good. We're gonna like probably install the lily pad. Oh, we did over-install it. Wild. That's okay. We got a second Eka. I'm not too worried. We'll sell the muse, so we have one in the bin. Okay. We could run R&D. I think it's a gatekeeper. If it's a gatekeeper, because of no fund. We can break the first gatekeeper sub because we can just stick down a slap vandal. Kind of want to get the lily pad down. Let's just do that, and then maybe do we want to challenge this ice? Possibly. Like it's not the worst. Let's force a bit of money. We got an Eka off at top, sick. And then into an SMC, which I've got to remember about. Okay, what's the best thing to do here? So we can either. The best thing to do here is just to install the Eka. We'll draw the SMC. We'll host it here. We'll just break. We'll let them have a credit. Unfortunately, this hasn't exactly. maxed them out as I was hoping. But there we go. We don't know the top of the deck anymore, which is a shame. We see a Bran. We can draw once. Propeller's pretty good. We might just install the propeller so that we can deal with Hagens. I can actually get through them. Either that or we're musing back a... we don't actually have a coalescence in the bin. That's awkward. Let's put down the propeller. If we had a bit more money, then we'd start like hitting this prognostic Q-loop button just on their turn. Because it's really good for us. But we're not going to do that quite yet. So hopefully we don't have to like muse for a coalescence here, but we may have to. Let's draw one. Symbol chip's great. Could install the SMC. I think we can install the SMC to draw a card. Like, we're probably just going to sell this, to be quite honest. Oh, are we hitting some lag? Hopefully not. Turbine, we can't install that anytime soon. We'll install the symbol chip. We'll run last click. Like, are we scared of anything in Thunderbolt? Maybe. Like they could be on snare. I don't believe it, though. Brilliant. We got an Urban Art coming up and a Coalescence. Can't install the Urban Art yet. Seamless launch. So next turn, the question is, are we going to sell this for Salem? It's actually quite useful on there. Okay, they have a ton of money. Like, we might be selling this for Salem. We're assuming that this is the Brasilia grid. We could go get a compilation. I don't think we're quite at that point yet. We also don't want to shuffle the deck, actually. I'm going to sell the for Salem. It's a bit risky, bearing in mind that they're on Brasilia grid, but we're going to need to Brasilia grid the one that they res. Okay, I want to draw the UAV, because that's like a really important part of our game plan. So we'll install this. I think we just run R&D for credit. We know that there's a coalescence on the top of the deck. Which we could install with prognostic. Yeah, it's going to draw us into the creative commission, which is really good. So that's what we'll do. Like, I'd have loved to have some Urban Art credits to do that with, but I don't. But that's fine. Regolith, they can have money. I don't care about them having money. And then we'll hit this button, installing a coalescence to draw a card. And then, yes, and then play the creative that we draw. And we're kind of back in the money picture, so that's good. We can, we know there's a Regolith on the top. They draw an unknown card. Like, realistically, we still potentially need to check whatever they jam, but I don't think I'm going to yet. Okay, another draw. We could... I was going to say, we could go get a Conduit and just start going ham here. Right, here we're probably going to Symbol Chip. We're going to get back a Muse. um, so that we've got more stuff to sell and put the Eca back because we're going to need an Eca at some point. So Muse can come back. We'll lily pad. We'll draw a card. Any minute now, we'll draw a card. Yeah. And then from the heap, we'll get the Eca. We'll open up the Eca. Right, start turn. I'm going to sell the Muse because we always want to have a Muse in the bin if possible. Um, it's an incredibly useful place for them to be. Okay. We want to install a program here to draw a card. We could just run R&D. We could install the turbine so that we can deal with any big sentries much easier. We might do that. Hagen, we're kind of fine with. Oh, please, definitely don't go to whatever that website is. Hagen, we're fine with. Are we installing? Maybe we just run R&D. I'm just going to run it. We've got like access to Fasalem, so we're not really actually very scared. It's clearly better than the Tithe, which was there. Yeah, we're going to look at the top two. Is it gonna end up being a Cloud Eater? Well, that'll chew up a load of their money if it is. Cool. We've got a testing coming up. Unfortunately, we'd want to install that before the program, which we're about to probably have to install. Bran. I think we just click a sub on that. I don't think we want to really go through here. Then we can draw a testing, install a testing. We're going to be a bit short here of clicks. Thinking. Maybe we just click through it. If so, I'm throwing out two things, which are the is it the hush? Yeah, I think it's like the hush and the extra Aesops. We'll do that. We'll install the Eca and the other thing we could do is not draw. But I think we do draw. Yeah, we're definitely arrying out the Eca there. We are probably trashing this Rashida. As much as I'd like to, like, we'll get rid of the Aesops, we'll get rid of the Muse, because the Muse is the easiest thing to get back. I think it's Simul Chip on the top of the deck, unless I'm incorrect. So, next turn we'll, like, Eca back to hand. We'll install the environmental testing. We'll install the Simul Chip using the prognostic Q loop. We'll make a run, probably just on HQ for now. To check it, unless we have to go and check server 1. We have access to everything we need. The draw. We'd love another trick shot. We've only seen one so far, right? Yeah. Okay, so maybe we're running this remote. Third ice. There's a chance that's the regolith, right? We could run HQ, see if the regolith is still there. Could run HQ, see if the regolith is still there. Well, we're going to ace ups away this coalescence. We're going to bring the Eker back to hand. This turn definitely starts with install environmental testing. Click for prognostic. So when we do run, we've got like 2 fresh cards on the top. Is the reason behind that. Then we could run the remote. Why not prog the symbol chip out on their turn? Because I wanted the environmental testing counter, which might be like a tiny bit too like greedy, but the environmental testings are really only good if we like pop them off literally in a turn. Do we think that that's just the regolith? Like I could run HQ like once or twice. We could go and get the copulation. But it feels like a really bad time to copulation. Like all we'd be doing is copulating to see if a regolith is in there, which is like pretty terrible, right? I think we run HQ to start with. So we're going to Ari first so that we draw. Then we get, oh, there's the copulation. Hilariously, we could have done the copulation here. Look at the top 2 cards of the stack, yes. We got Conduit. Okay, we could we start conduiting? Not quite, but like next turn, we need to be able to get down a turbine and a cleaver and probably get a Kayaban here. We've also got second environmental testing coming up. We see a Winchester. Fine. Like the turn here might be install copulation run back. Or do we want to draw the conduit? No, but we do want to draw the other. We do want to draw the other. We do want to draw the other environmental testing so we can pop off hard. Are we running this server? Are we running this server? I think we can possibly, yeah, for sure. Thinking. We can definitely charge this server if we really want to. I'm just not totally sure what we do. If it's a Luminal, I'm going to feel really dumb. That would be upsetting, for sure. That would be upsetting. So we could draw and then install a card. We know that environmental testing is the next card. We're going to want to install that. We might just put down the copulation here, as it seems the scariest. We could symbol chip back like Muse to get a Kayaban on the Bran. We can install a Muse to get a Kayaban on the Bran. Doesn't really help either way. So let's just put down this copulation. It might scare Alpi into putting the Winchester on HQ. Oh, it was an agenda. Oh, that's upsetting. Oh, they have a ton of money. Okay, environmental testing coming up. So let's sell something. We're gonna sell. I think we have everything we need now, so I think we can sell this SMC. Okay. Draw environmental testing, install environmental testing. run HQ installing the Eca. We got a trick shot into Diesel. That's lovely for next turn. There's the Regolith. I think we just leave that there. The other thing, like, I think we trash it, actually. And then we could go back. Now, if we go back, what are we discarding from our hand? Like the Slap Vandal? We need most of the rest of these cards. Winchester. We're going to copulate that. I want to have that. And then we might like muse the Kayaban onto R&D. I think we're just going to do that. We're going to set up here for next turn. It's going to come from the grip. And we're going to put this Kayaban on this Bran and end our turn. And now we've got like serious conduit lock if Alpi's not careful. We do need to install all three of these. I guess we don't need to install, like we can use, oh, that looks terrifying. Oh, have I like left myself no way of getting through a gatekeeper? I was meant to pull out a buzzsaw at some point. How did no one point that out to me? That's fun. Okay, I think we can click the, oh no, because we know this is a trick shot, right? Fine. Let's we'll Aesop's the Muse. We'll pull this Kayaban back for now. I need this one in hand to go and get some stuff. Fine. At very worst, we can muse to SMC to Buzzsaw. Like, it's expensive, but we've got like, we're gonna have a ton of credits. So we either just run first. We know we've got a trick shot on the top of the deck. We run first click, then we can always like just click for a Bran if we really need to. Got Slap Vandal. Yeah, not installing the Buzzsaw from the SMC. That was a huge mistake. So maybe we have to do that like first. Like we might have to muse to get the SMC. And then we could run having the Slap Vandal in hand, so we're kind of safe to most things. We also want to put the Turbine down. Probably. Ice Strength is gonna matter here. Thinking. Yeah, Symbol Chipping last turn was like pretty wrong. I should have just chucked a card out of hand. 2 Symbol Chips in the bin. There's one more in 12. We could just run and like decide what's the worst that can happen. Oh, our Slap Vandal probably can't get through like gatekeepers here because they're on whatchamacallit. Brasilia is once per turn, right? Brasilia is once per turn, right? Have they managed to find like Mavirus plus something else to win. Serious? Apparently it's not. Whenever you res. Wow. Well, well, well. Chip. I really thought it was going to be once per turn, which meant that we only need access to like one for Salem. Slap Vandal's not very good for a hero. Okay, this is problematic now. Well then. Oh, hold up. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's whenever you res, but use this ability once per turn. No worries. Okay, I think I have to muse for the SMC here, which is really painful and really stupid on my part. If this is barrier into barrier, are we in any problems? Probably not. No, I need the muse to get to Salem. Okay. Crap. How am I getting through this gatekeeper? With the Slap Vandal? I can just put the Slap Vandal on it now. I mean, the Slap Vandal won't get through it if they res it. That's the annoying thing. We have Hush. Will that do anything? Don't know. Well, I've put myself in a weird position here. So what do we do? Yeah. But using that Simmel chip last turn was a big error. I think we just run it and see what happens. Maybe we like put a Kaya Band down first. Doesn't really help. It like draws us a card and it will potentially get us money if we get through. It might be. They're probably on magnets as well, which could prove to be a problem. Or installing the cleaver. Or we install the turbine. Maybe we install the turbine to draw a card. Which we knew. We knew it was going to be a trick shot. So that's funny. Now we just run and see what happens. Can we remember what else was on top of the deck? Please tell me it was like trick shot into Simmel chip. That'd be epic. This is why you should take notes. Diesel into Muse. Okay, well, second Muse coming up is good. That is a Vampiranassa. So our only way to deal with that is going to be to use the Muse to get a Psalm. It's 5 strength. I think we have to let this fire. I think we just let this fire and hope we don't lose the Muse. If we lose the Muse, we're buggered. Otherwise, we can Slap Vandal it, but then we can't get through the gatekeeper. Oh, we're gonna have to fire the. Yeah, give up on Cup is probably fine. What did we lose? We lost a trick shot. That's kind of okay. We lost the conduit, which is actually our way of winning. That's a shame. They're going to draw 2 cards, which is a problem. Hopefully they're not on Void. Okay, now they Brasilia. So that's scary. They didn't want a Brasilia this one. It's a Stavka. It's going to be 10 gajillion strength. They trashed a card in the server. They de-res the Gatekeeper. So now we have to facade them through the Stavka. We're going to install a Muse. We'll go from our heap. We'll get a Facadum. Now we have to jack out. Because we can't get through this Gatekeeper. Which is a problem. That's the problem. Maybe we should have just tried to break that with Ika. I didn't actually... I possibly should have just broken that with Ika. Like, how much would it have been? Probably not actually that much. This boost's, like, insane. Well, we're going to draw, and then we'll draw again for the other Muse. So now they have a gajillion strength Gatekeeper. But we're going to draw... It's a Lady Liberty. Holy hell. Well, that's really scary. We've got to deal with that. I want the copulation back now. Why did we get rid of the copulation? How do we deal with the Gatekeeper? If we muse it, what happens? If we hush it, I mean, what happens? Don't know. Right, let's just find our Buzzsaw, and then at least we can, like, deal with some stuff. I don't think we want to ace up anything here. We have not found a Buzzsaw. But this is fine, right? We'll install a DZMZ for lols. Probably didn't need to. We'll install... We definitely didn't need to, actually. We'll install the Ika to draw a card. Probably should have done that during a run. I'm just going to run HQ. If I can. Any minute now. It was only 9 credits to break. Oh, yeah, that would have been just, like, fine. And then it would have been hosted there. Like... Yeah. Yeah, Ika was totally the correct call. Especially as I knew that I wasn't able to get past here. And we have, like, a ton of credits. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we'll look at the top 2 cards. Diesel into Buzzsaw. Okay. So we can draw past the Diesel. We see a Bran. They rezzed, which means it also looks like there's stuff in here, right? So I think we break with the propeller for this one. It's also only 2 hosted power counters. That's pretty good. We'll Kaiban that as we go past. We see a Tithe. It's a classic. And then last click. Right, we know that there's Buzzsaw on the top, so we can just draw that next turn. Are we gonna need more MU? Like maybe. So we could put down the DZMZ. We need to keep the Muse, we need to keep the Cleaver, we need to keep the Eker. It's either that or we put down the Simult ship. I think we're gonna need the MU, you know. No, we need to be able to deal with this remote like soon, as in real soon. Let's put the Kaiban on this Vampiranessa. Then we go through it for free. We don't need this diesel because we have enough draw by a long way. Okay, Alpi didn't have it here, so that's good. Ironically, this Vasalem's going to end up back on the piece of ice it was on in the first place. Should have just left it there all along. Hey, Andrea. Good to see you. Before our turn starts, we're going to click the Kaiban to install a buzzsaw. Use this credit. We'll draw a card. Okay. We'll pull back this. We won't Aesop's anything. We'll Urban Art the Kaiban. Done. And we'll run server 1. On the top of the deck is Trick Shot into Lily Pad. Oh, well, we could actually go back here. So we could. So maybe we break, because we break this for net neutral. And we might just Arasana a Kaiban onto R&D, drawing the trick shot, and then jacking out. And then we'll trick shot R&D. Going through this for technically +1 real credit. We see a rhyme, very rude, into a tithe. We're going to run server 1. Break with trick shot money. Oh wow! If this is a Mavirus in server 2, then we kind of lose here. Because I've just realised that I have used my Arasana ability, and it wasn't to install an Eker, which is hilarious. I guess we've got a Simul chip, like we're kind of safe. So now they res a Gatekeeper, which is like 9 strength, right? So we have to use the Sasalem here. Otherwise, who wants to work out? It's 13 credits. Yeah. Oh, we should have put the DZ down first. Really, we want to put a Muse out here. We really want to put a Muse out so that we can trash it to Aesop's. Did need a DZ down. Didn't think that through. That's fine. We trash the server. We probably should have run the Spin Doctor first. Like, we definitely trash the Lady Liberty so they don't just win next turn. we're gonna get them to draw into this rhyme. Um, oh, it's a Rashida. Spicy. And then I think we put the DZ down because we're actually gonna need. How are we gonna get our conduit back? Have we got a symbol chip left? Have we just used our last symbol chip? If we have, like, we genuinely might have to concede. um, I guess we could host the conduit on a muse. God, that's gonna feel bad. We can sell our propeller. Well, that's interesting. With sell the propeller, we'll bring this back to hand. We'll install the cleaver. Drawing a card. We'll run. Wait, did they draw? No. Archives feels like it's a gatekeeper. We're going to run HQ. We'll install the Kaiban here. We see a coalescence on the top. That's cool. We can, like... We're actually definitely not going to install that until we have UAV credits to do it. We see a hedge fund. I think we can go... Do we want to go back? We'll go back. It feels like there's... Well, they didn't have a 2-pointer in there, actually. So if they've got a 3-pointer in there, it actually doesn't make much sense to go back. Right, they're back up to 9. Oh, it's a bit slow. You don't musical? No, because I want urban. I need UAV credits to do it. So here we'll draw into the coalescence, which is fine. So we'll just run R&D, see the top. Because that will draw us the coalescence. We then installed it for free. Like, we are gonna actually be ground out of money here, and we've lost our multi-axis, which is a real problem. Like, I genuinely might have to muse it in, which is going to feel pretty bad. That's like an expensive play. Ah, oh, come on, JNet. I feel like it's almost definitely points in the bin. No, don't bother. Otherwise, this ice doesn't make any sense. The fact is that I think it's a gatekeeper. Oh no, I guess we do break it. I thought it was going to come in at 9 strength. Yeah, we could just run it, I guess. We probably should have run it last turn when they were on free credits. For some reason, I thought it was going to be a like 9 strength gatekeeper because of Brasilia government grid, which obviously isn't there. But there we go. There's got to be some agendas somewhere, right? We're going to trash that because we do think that there's agendas in the bin. We'll go back because we could still steal Ikwa's. Oh, come on, JNet, please. 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 This was meant to be a short stream. It's meant to be a short stream. Any minute now. See another brand. Gosh. We'll install this and take a credit. At some point, I'm going to forget that I don't have an Eka down, and I'm going to die to that fact. But I think it's okay. Oh, I would really kind of need the conduit down for when JNet does this. Like if Albie still had all the money in the world, like he had a while back, actually be kind of correct to overwrite one or other of these brands. Okay, we're gonna have 16 credits. The Versalem has gone. We have one Muse in hand, which can get it back. We now have MU again, so that's nice. Is this just threatening this being Stavka? Well, it's not threatening it being Stavka. What I mean is it threatening it being Brasilia grid? If so, Alpi's got a D-res a 6th or 7th cost in ice, which is, I think, is worth like pressuring. Yeah, might be grinding me out. It feels really bad. I've like never got this far through a game on stream and not been able to finish it, but um, we're we're pretty slow right now. We're pretty slow. I should at least like run the bin and then work out what we do. I want to install an ice on server one. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now that's like scary. Um, so we know this is Stavka. Well, Aesop's this. Will Urban Art this from HQ. We'll install the Eka, and then we'll run, I guess. Maybe we also install a Kaiban on the Vampirinassa. Because we're not going to be able to keep this Muse. We're running third click so we can still steal an Ikawa if it happens to be one. Brazilian government grid is pretty rude though. I think if this wasn't fundable, it might. We got a Tithe. Do we just let this Tithe? Oh, we can't let the Tithe fire because of because of the trash. Like the Thunderbolt sub is actually very mildly relevant here. So we could now. So this feels like it's definitely a Brasilia government grid in here. So we could just run back. I think that's probably incorrect. Maybe we install the Slap Vandal and deal with it with the Slap Vandal. We don't want to lose our last Muse, but can't really trash anything here. Oh, we could trash the Prognostic Kulu. We'll just do that. We'll just slap it. Yeah. I guess this is worth 3 credits, but like we'll get through here. I suppose. I just didn't want to like put my Stavka on here because I put my Eka on here because I feel like I mean they're definitely gonna res this Stavka. There's like 0 chance they don't. They're trashing, yeah, the Tithe. That makes sense. Wow, it only costs us 6. Plus the 2 to host it, I suppose. Shimmy agenda. It's a Stegodon. Well, uh, imagine if Alpi had scored that. But we're kind of ground out now. I think I'm gonna concede because I'm sure there's a couple in archives, but the lag is super grindy. You don't have lockout yet. Um, yeah, there's still one more Muse, so we can still get back the Eka. Um, yeah, I mean, click for 4 and pass would be that's what I would be doing right now, but like just the turns take too long. That took a long time. And I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. That was that was a way of making the deck, which I think is one of the funnest decks to play, which is this deck, and turning it into a real slog because it has a load of triggers, and so like if JNet is laggy, then apparently it's no good. Anyway, thank you all for joining me for the stream, and I'll see you next week. All right, ciao for now.